Right. Let's get started. So, this practical activity requires you guys to create a form to kind of just match what you see over here. So, you're given the assets and you're also given the fonts that you're supposed to be using. It's called Urbanist. You can get this from Google Fonts. So yeah, I think we have everything we need. And I've already got a blank web page up and ready. Let me just show you what I have in my project folder. So aside from the page itself, I've got an image folder, images, the images folder, which will contain the image assets that you're gonna need to complete this form. And I've also got a CSS file, which is located in a CSS folder. And I've already have it linked using a link tag inside my HTML web page. All right, so let's begin. Now, the way I want to go about this might be unnatural to some people because I'm really going about this with a reference, but hopefully this will sort of just shed some light into what's being used to create the form in the first place. I'll try to keep it as natural as much as possible, though. The way how you want to go about this is, try to get all your HTML elements in first before worrying a little bit too much about the CSS, because should there really be issues, trying to implement the styles you want, you can always modify the HTML elements that to your liking so that it'll be a little easier for you to, implement CSS over there. But one thing I want to do right off the bat, though, is to establish the font that we want. And also the logo that's up here. If you were to look at the sample, right, you'll notice that there's this centered part of here. I plan on tackling this one first because the image that you have could be pretty big. This is the logo. If you were to check it out, it's transparent and it's supposed to be that way. But just to make sure that it's already been considered. Yeah, we're gonna want to deal with it from here, right? Okay, now font first. So we'll head on over to Google Fonts once you've selected all the fonts that you want. I've just selected all, but we don't really need that many in many instances. But it's always better safe than sorry, I guess. So I'm just gonna copy this import statement right about here. Get it on over to Visual Studio Code, and it should be the first line that your CSS file should hold. And then from there, by implementing this font throughout the page, right, by using the star, I can make it such that you don't have to manually change the font type for each of the elements inside your HTML page. This star here will make it such that it'll allow one to target everything inside the body tag, the visual elements inside your web page to follow the certain styles. In this case, I'm just making it so that all of them would follow the given font, right? So Urbanist first. If Urbanist fails to load, you fall back to Arial. And the very last one to fall back on in case all else fails is sans serif. So there you go. Nothing has changed yet because I haven't added in any elements inside. Yeah, let's get on with it. Let's start putting stuff in right now. So the way how I've structured the form, right, is by using a lot of division sections, or this time around, the one that you'll be seeing here is using all semantic divisions, semantic div elements. All of them fall under a parent element called form. So the form element essentially. The action I've set as per the task in your practical as form submitted. This will be some scrap web page that we'll create at the end of this demonstration. So There's that. The method can be post, but since this is just a HTML form, it doesn't have the same capabilities as a PHP form or anything that is able to utilize the backend to elicit out information that one would to type into the form. Okay, then from here, the logo and the main heading element is gonna fall under a header container. Gonna give it a class of center and ID of top title. So from there, the image was going to be images slash logo.png, and you've got Taylor's logo right here. Taylor's logo. Whoops. And H1 student record form. Now, by hindsight, I don't remember how big the logo image is, but it seems that it's not too big. It fits in well. So all we need to do is just find a way to center this whole thing. Now, you remember that when I added in the class called center over here. Now this is the thing that's gonna make it such that everything which includes your images and your text be aligned to the center. So I'm just gonna segregate this to special divisions or sections. And from here, this all those with the class of center is going to have text align center right there. And yeah, so if you head on over here, everything's now centered. Perfect. And you can also see that the font's already kicking in. It's already taking shape. Now this will only work if you're able to connect to the internet, because you're referring the font off from Google Fonts being an online repository. If there's no internet connection, then you can expect to see Arial instead, since Urbanist will fail to load in this regard. Right, now let's head on back to our HTML page and let's plop in everything else. My usual habit is always to include in comments at the end of every significant section, the ones of concern at least, or later on if you want to find out whether something is amiss, these would kind of just help a bit. So what I like to do is I just type in the header, and if there's an ID, I'll just follow it. Otherwise, it's just a class. So this will signify the end of the header container with the ID of top title. Okay. Now, I'm not doing this for every one of them. It's just so that I'm able to document them properly. It's just a personal preference. You don't really have to follow this if you don't want to. Now, coming back to the reference, right, you can see that there are three main sections. Each of them appear to be encapsulated within its own field set and its own legend. So the legend that you see here appears to be somewhat different from what you might have seen a default legend that would normally do with regards to a field set. So this is because in this form here, inside your field set, I'm just going to create the first one, being container and ID personal particulars. Okay, now this one here, wait, let me just put the comment in, slash field set personal particulars. Now, with regards to the legend, you see, what I've done is, right, rather than immediately go ahead and place in some text, I've included a heading element, specifically H2 instead. So if I were to use this, you can see that without extra styling, you're able to replicate the type of visuals that you see here for a legend. So yeah, this is what you get from here. Now, with regards to the container class that I've entered in, right? The container class is supposed to be able to essentially make it so that the whole web page doesn't doesn't really span from from side to side so much, or more so, it's just kind of a way to be able to have it be centric somewhat. So for this to happen, I'm just gonna head back down into to my CSS again. I'm gonna target the container. So the width of it, right? The width I've set this form is to be 87.5%. It doesn't take on a margin from top and bottom, but it's auto on the horizontal sides, left and right. And as for padding, the padding that I've set here is that such that the top doesn't exist. There's no top padding, whereas the horizontal paddings and the bottom padding are all of 1.5 rem. So just save this, and there you go. This is what I was kind of banking on, so that it doesn't go for too much from side to side, but it still feels centric somewhat, and there is some sense of a margin or padding already to kind of just make it not so claustrophobic. So there you have it. Okay, back to the HTML elements. So right here, I'm gonna want to create a section called row. This is something that I'm gonna borrow from from Bootstrap, if you are familiar with it. So the idea behind it is such that, right, if I want to have specific columns that are like equal, or in a way it's something like this, I would tend to go with row to encapsulate the whole thing. So section.row. Since there's no ID to it, I'm just gonna leave it as is, section.row. So in here, section of class column 50. I'm just gonna call it column 50. You can call it left or right, but this is a little easier because it's kind of well understood, and there's no real necessary need for at least in my opinion, to know whether one is to float to the left and one is to float to the right. I want two of them, so just place all this in. Yeah, so in here, section the column 50, duplicate this, and yeah, so there you have it. Inside each of these columns is going to house one of the input elements that I've got. The first two, if you were to look at the reference, right, is this. You've got the first name and you've got the last name. These two are the pair that you want to work on first. So I'm gonna start by putting in a label to target the first name. Now with this for element here, this is supposed to match the input element's ID. All right, it's just for semantic purposes. Nothing really superficial around here. Input text, first name. I'm just gonna keep the name value the same as the ID. There's no real there's no need to make a distinction over here just yet. And I'm placing in a placeholder of first name. So this will make it such that when nothing's been entered into the input element, there'll be some hollow text at the back to kind of just serve as like instructions, somewhat, if you want to think of it that way. I'm gonna put in required and autofocus. Autofocus is going to be such that when the page loads, it's going to focus on this input element first, so that the user doesn't need to, doesn't need to click on a different input element to just get started. It's like a lazy way to kind of just more or less get started. All this is going to be the same in the same spirit for the next one, which is the last name. So label for the last name. BR element, input text, sorry, last name, pin the placeholder of last name right here, and required. We only need to put autofocus once, right? This is meant to be a one element thing. So save this, and you should see that they are now like it's shown over here, it's obviously not complete, but I think at this point it'll be better if we just stash in all the input elements first before proceeding on with the CSS. Okay, so the next thing that we need is the student ID, and you've got a status select option element over here. Then from here, it's gonna form its own row again, which will house in two more sections of column 50. So there you have it. The first one is gonna contain a label element first. The label for the student ID. Then here, your input element for this one, it's going to be a little complicated, or at least I'm going to make it that way. Student ID, placeholder is also student ID right here. And I'm going to add in a pattern that's going to be, using a regex or regular expression. Basically, what this does is, right, it will be the regex is essentially a rule that a piece of string in programming is supposed to take on. So for this one, let's just say I'm gonna make it such that you can only put in a number between 0 to 9. Any the first four characters inside the string be one of the numbers inside, and then A to Z, A to big Z, number one. So this one here, we want to allow after the four numeric digits, an alphabet character, just one, and another one 0 to 9 of another 5 times, another 5 of these numeric characters. So this here kind of mirrors what the student ID used to be in Taylor's for once, or the one that you might be accustomed to is having one that starts with 0 3, then followed by any five numeric numbers like this. Obviously, this is optional. If you really plan on putting in a different type of ID or somewhat, feel free to do so. But it's kind of fun if you want to play around with this. So, if you want, I'm gonna leave a section down here. A comment. Sorry. Expel.com to craft regular expressions. So essentially, if you want to find play around with different types of expressions, this will be a website that I would encourage you all to kind of just go with. Just going to copy this this comment down here, and one down here. So there we go. Now another one that we wanted have is our select element. So again, we'll start with a label. This one's going to go for status. Going to put in our select element. There we go. Actually, no, whoops, sorry, I was supposed to put the class in here, so just keep it as is first. Now in here, as per the task requirements, right, we want to make it such that the status that would be would comprise these comprise of these options over here. So you should have one default, which is place select status, which we're gonna add in two more attributes, disabled and selected, and these are the four right here. So these other four options are gonna have their own values. So gonna put in option. This one's not gonna have a value. It's gonna be disabled and selected. Please select status. Okay, then after that, you've got one which is for active, deferred, graduated, and terminated. Okay, cool. So we've got all this done for this row right here, and this one's supposed to be section.row. So if I were to save this now, let's have a look at how the form looks like right now. So we've got our student ID, and we've got our select we've got our select element working with all these options ready. Again, I'm not gonna worry about starting these ones inside just yet. I'll do that at the very end. And next, section.row. I'm just gonna keep it as is first, and oops. Okay, then here, for this one, I don't think I need anything else. Might be wrong because my reference in it says I'm supposed to put in another section, but you're gonna keep I'm gonna jump in straight away because the one that I'm planning to add in is the address, and the address, if you were to look at the home address, if you were to look at the reference that I've got right here, it's such that it spans across the whole the whole section about in here. Okay, we added another break element in here. Input text. So this one address and address placeholder address as well. So yeah, nothing out of the ordinary over here. It will just it's gonna be set such that it will span across the whole width after this. It looks a bit small though, but we're also gonna be changing the font sizes right after this. So yeah, that's one. And then there's gonna be another one more row that I plan on introducing. Which will house the contact number and the email. So section column 50. Each of these would come as such. So the first one is going to have a label for contact number. Just going to put it like this: contact number. Yeah, for the contact number, it's gonna gonna be one with break element right about here. Input text, contact number, and placeholder contact number as well. You kind of you kind of see the sort of repetition around in there. There's not much to expect. Copy this comment down here and here as well. Okay, then this one's gonna be another label for the email. Now there's a special type for in the input element for email, so you can put in that email. It'll be such that you don't need to have a regular expression to validate whether it's a valid email or not. No, so placeholder email right here. Save this, and yeah, we've got pretty much everything all set up inside here. It's just without the styles just yet. We're gonna leave it for now and progress on with the other two field sets that we're supposed to create. Now next off, field set. Field set also of class container and academic record. So this is the one. Field set academic record. Yeah, it'll be like this. I'm just you can make shortcut like this. So legend, as like with the first one, I'm gonna place in the H2 elements inside. Academic record. So now if we look back at our page, we've got another field set ready with H2 element housing our legend right there. Sweet. Down here, I'm not gonna need to use row or columns anymore since all of them are essentially, yeah, they're not it can be like as shown, having being split all together. So I can just pretty much just dump all of them into the field set element immediately. So I'm just gonna have one for program, one label for program. I'm using the American spelling here, but if you want to use the specific spelling for like as shown inside the what do you call, yeah, like as shown in the sample, feel free to do so. Select name. Wait, whoops, it's not name. Sorry, this one's supposed to be for program and program. So there you go. This is gonna house 3 different options. If you were to look at the task again, the enroll program under academic record should include the default option, which is supposed to be disabled and selected again. Please select the program, followed by one of these 2 different programs. These are 2 programs offered by Tails College with regards to IT or computing related courses. For those out there who are watching, now here, I'm gonna put in option. There's not gonna be a value this time, so it's gonna keep it as is, disabled and selected. And in here, it's gonna be please select a program. Option value of I'm just gonna put the acronym inside. Foundation in Computing, DIT, Diploma in Information Technology. So there you have it. I'm not gonna be placing in the comments, this special comment that I've done here underneath this select element here, because it's visible enough within reach, so I don't really need an extra documentation step to kind of just be there more or less, or at least this is my opinion. If you want to put that on your own, feel free to do so. Once I save this, you should see that the select element has been it's been placed off really nicely. Doesn't exactly match the one that we're looking for though, but yeah, that would do. This would do just fine for now. Or I guess maybe we'll just play. Maybe for good measure, I'll just place in a BR tag in here just in case. We can always come back to that one later to see if we need to erase that off. Label for intake, semester intake. Now for this one, section, it's gonna be for a radio group. In here, it's gonna be housing our oops, sorry. It's gonna be housing our radio input elements. Now, you're gonna want to be aware of this. So the name of each of these radio elements, right, should be the same. The name should be the same. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. Intake Jan 22. Value, Jan 22. Label. The label we're going to refer to the ID. So this is just a reverse of what we had previously. January 2022. I'm probably moving off from the sample that I've gotten over here, which is giving off 2021 dates, but it will go with this. It's nothing much in here. Yeah, there is a thing about here that's kind of bothering me. I'm just gonna place in a BR tag to separate this one on top here. So yeah, again, we'll probably go ahead and revisit this one if there is a need to later on. From there, yeah, it's pretty much the same idea. January, April, June, and let's just set it to just August. I know since apparently there probably won't be a June intake this year. APR. This one's for April. APR, and AUG. So this one's for August. AUG, AUG. So with this now set, I'm going to separate them out like this. Wait, whoops. Sorry, it's supposed to be this way. Yeah. Now that I've got them all set, they're all in on the same line, which is what the form is supposed to have here. So yeah, we're just gonna keep it like that. Now for this one, we're gonna want to head on next after the intake. We're gonna want to implement a table inside our field set. So yeah, put in a table of ID CGPA table. So for this one, there's only one table, so there's really nothing to get document here. I'm not gonna put in the bottom one as such. The T head is gonna house in one row, which is gonna be holding one TH element with a call span of 2. It's gonna house in another heading element. I'm using a H3 cumulative grade point average CGPA right here. And yeah, this is essentially a T head. If you were to look back at your page, because we haven't placed in a border or anything like that, it's gonna appear a bit off, like it doesn't appear like a table somewhat. We'll fix this later when we get to CSS later on. T body here, tr th plus td. Yep, semester 1, and this is gonna house in an input of the type number. The name's gonna be sem1 sem1. And for this one, what I'm going to do is going to put a min of 0 and a max of 4 right there. And it's going to be the same throughout for semester 2 and 3. So I'm just going to change the numbers. This semester 3. And what do we get? Yep. It will make sense once we place in our borders. And next, T foot. T foot is going to be housed in a row, TH plus TD. Inside here is cumulative grade point average, CGPA, and input of type number. So it's going to be CGPA, CGPA. Right, about in here, n equals to 0, max equals to 4. And I'm going to place in a default value of 0.00. And this is going to be read only. There we go. We've got this all set. It just looks too small here, but again, we'll fix that later. Now finally we get to the last one, which is as per this one, academic progression. So for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and revert back to create another field set container, and as far as my reference shows, there's no need to put in an ID, but I'm gonna put one anyway. Academic progression. Put a legend with a history element saying academic progression. If I look at the webpage right now, it's got all this right there. Academic progression. Now inside it, you've got two things. You've got checkboxes and you've got a text area of concern. So for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and after the legend, place in a label for progression degree, prospective degree options section for section with a class of checkbox group. So now this one's important. You can put in one checkbox. Here it's going to be BCS. BCS value equals to BCS right there. And in Taylor's, there are 3 different programs that are offered by the School of Computing and IT, and one other program that's jointly, managed by that school as well as the School of Engineering. So you've got label for BCS, Bachelor of Computer Science Honors. I put a BR tag in here. The format's going to be about the same. We've got 4 of these to make. BRT, which stands for Information Technology Honors. BSE, which stands for Bachelor of Software Engineering. And BRDD, which is the Bachelor of Science Honors in Robotic Design and Development. There you go. So yeah, now you have it. I'm gonna place in the BR tag here because no, wait, right here. So yeah, there's that. I think that's kind of that. We've got 1 remarks here anyway. I think the BR tag is supposed to be up here, so I'll just place it up there first. This one's for section class checkbox group. There you go. Then the label for remarks. It's gonna house the text area. Remarks. I'll give it columns of 50 and rows as is, just 10. And I'm not gonna put anything inside. It's gonna be empty. So like that, you've got your checkboxes and you've got your remarks right here. Now next off, after the field set, gonna add in 1 section at the bottom. It's gonna house in 2 classes, center and container, just in case if you want to find out how it is to add in 2 classes at once using this shortcut. Separate each class out with a period. I'm gonna add in an ID of actions. The actions is gonna house in our submit button and our reset button. Right, there you go. So we've got everything. We've got all the HTML elements all set. Now let's start beautifying this whole thing. So for this one, I'm gonna drag and drag this one right about in here just to kind of just show you the what stylings that there are in this case. Bring this up here. Okay, so first off, we're gonna want to settle the sizes of the thing, or at least I'm gonna resort to that. So I'm just gonna be gonna be using this root here to kind of just establish some constants, you see. One way that this is helpful is so that later on you can use these constants to play around inside your other styling, so you don't have to manually change, like say if you want to change a certain size of the text to be 24 from 24 to 20 in all the paragraphs and all the H5 elements, for example. You can always have it. You can always refer to this as like a control area, normal text size. I'm going to set this to 20 pixels. I want my H1 to be of size 48 pixels. H2 size to be 28 pixels. The input size to be of 24 pixels. And the theme color to be red. And accent color to be a maroon color. Right, done. Okay, nothing's changed just yet. Let's go ahead and tackle the body. So for the body, first off, we want the background image. So the background image property comes into play with the URL function here. In here, we're going to want to toss in the relative path of the background image. So the image is stored inside my images folder, which is alongside the CSS folder that houses my CSS file. So what I'm going to need to do is to get out of the CSS folder, // and I'll just run down to my images. And the one that I want is this JPEG image over here. Let's save this. There you go. Background is set, but we want something more out of this. Background size. You want it to be covered, to cover around, so that yeah, it's gonna cover the whole form as is, and it's probably not gonna there probably be some white space at the very bottom if you're using a very large monitor, but in most cases, for most people, they won't have a resolution that big. So given how much that we've placed into our HTML form, it shouldn't be much of an issue. Background position, we'll set it to center. And we'll make it such that the background doesn't repeat. It just appears as is, no repeat. And let's place in the border. Placing the border of 1 rem solid. We want a red border if you were to look at the sample here. Now with the theme color, I can add it in here by putting in var and tossing in the constant that I want, which is the theme color. So if I save this, the border color comes into play right here. Now notice that there is a small gap in between if you were to go about it this way. So for that, we're going to want to get rid of the margin. Get rid of the margin 0 right there. The minimum height should all come for naught if all the contents inside the form is too short to be placed inside to view, so that you have white space at the bottom. We're gonna try and place in a minimum height of 100 VH. Now what this means is is that it's supposed to be the 100% of the total height of the browser window. So at the very minimum, it should take up that much. If it is small, if it's shorter, but since it's longer, this has easily been been exceeded. So save this. It's done. Let's paste in our let's deal with our form first. Now with the form, right? You see that the background's kind of washed out a bit. So we want to go with that one first. Gonna put form background color of an RGB B scale, RGB 8 as a variant over here. Set it to have a background of white and an opacity of 0.8. So if we did this, now you see the image has the background image has been kind of washed out a bit, and yeah, everything seems readable at the moment already right now. Okay, so that, and I'll also add in a padding of 2 rem for the top and bottom, and 0 on both the left and right. So there you go. This is our form element done. H1, the font size is going to correspond to the H1 size I want, and it's going to be the same thing for H2 as well. So font size var H2 size. So I did this. Now, yeah, the font size, it has changed, so it looks a little bit bigger right now. I've also included a H3 size, but I didn't create a console for this. It's gonna be one that I'll use together with the input size right here. So font size var input size right there. That's our H3 there. So the H3 elements size is now been enlarged to that much. Now what else? Yeah, the table. The table that doesn't look like a table right now, so let's fix that one. Put the target table first. The width is going to be about 100 pixels. No, 100 pixels, 100%. There will be one more that I want to add in, but I'll get back to that one in a bit. TR, TH, TD, all are going to have a border of 1 pixels. A solid border, and I want the accent color, which is maroon, the accent color. So they have it. They've got a border like this right now, and since they've got a gap in between, I'm just gonna add a border collapse property. Collapse. So now it looks a bit better here. Okay, then now that's it for the regular ones right about here. Now to target those with classes, with with IDs, that sort. So we've only got center and we've only got containers thus far. Let's go ahead and let's tackle the sections, the sections, as well as the column 50 and all row section. Okay, so all the sections that are encapsulated within the elements with the class row should have a margin of 0 auto, 0 from top to bottom, auto on left and right. I think it's happened. Radio group, checkbox group. The font size is gonna follow normal text size, and the margin top of 0.25 rem. So yeah, you can see that the text that's apart, that's alongside the radio buttons and the checkboxes are enlarged a bit, the label specifically. And also top title image. So we're gonna target this image over here. Let's set the width to 40 VW, which is the visible width of the form. So it's gotten a little bit smaller. Oops. Yeah, so it kind of scales it as is. I plan on putting in a max width though, so that it doesn't go too big. 600 pixels, it would be good enough. So this will expand, but up to a certain limit, as you see right here. Okay. Next, for the actions at the bottom, I'm gonna want to add in a margin top of 1.5 rem right here. So action, sorry. So the actions, yeah, sorry for the typos. Yeah, now there's a margin on top right here, and CGPA table. So this one here, I'm just gonna be targeting the margin of these things. You know what? It's a little bit messed up. It's not yeah, it's not in order. So I'm just gonna reorder them. This one's supposed to be targeted first. Row, radio group, actions at the bottom. CGPA table. CGPA table is yeah, let's put it after the radio group since it's after a radio group anyway. CGPA table. So in here, margin of 1.5 rem auto. So 1.5 rem on top and bottom, and auto on the left and right. And the width, set it to 75%. Right there. Okay, then the CGPA table, TRTH, should also have a width of 75%. CGPA table, TRTD, set everything inside to align to the center. And specifically, to target these input elements inside here, I'm going to put CGPA table TRTD input with the ones targeting the attribute where the type is equal to number. You can set the width to 75% and a margin of 0.25 rem auto. So 0.25 rem on top and bottom, auto on the left and right. There you go. And then also CGPA table, T foot, and also the input elements. Set the text align to the right. So there you have it. Now let's deal with your input elements. So the input elements is going to come at the bottom right here. I'm just going to place this input elements in here. Let's see. Your field set. I'm gonna style it in such a way that it's gonna have a border radius of 1 rem. Yeah, so now it looks a little bit curved before. Before that, it was just angled like this. And the border color, yeah, this whole thing is a border color in itself. I'm going to use the accent color again, using the maroon color that I've used for the table right there. So there you have it. That's the accent color over there. Fieldset legend. The color is gonna take on the maroon color as well, accent color. So now it kind of matches as well. Input, select. These all should have the font size of the input size constant that we've just added. So bigger now. Margin bottom, let's set it to 0.5 rem for each one, and a padding of 0.25 rem. Settles there. Okay, then this one here, it's going to be the inputs, which are not of which are not the submit buttons. Not the reset buttons. Not the radio buttons. And not the checkbox elements, right? Not those, but we want to include in the select element and the text area to make sure that they have a width of 100%. So they're going to be spanning across, just like this. So yeah, it's starting to look a lot more like the form over here right now. Yeah, still not done here yet though. Now let's target the reset and submit buttons. Type equals to submit. Input type equals to reset. For this one, I want a font size of normal text size. A margin. Wait, before that, let me show you what you see. What you get here. The input size has now been reduced a bit to regular text size. Margin of 0.5 rem. So by putting in this, you can see that the buttons are a bit pushed apart from each other, and padding of 0.25 rem and 0.5 rem. 0.25 from the top and bottom, 0.5 from the left and right. So there you get it. There you have it. Yeah, these are your buttons now done. Input and hover and select hover. Set the border color to have a theme color. So what do we do when we get all this? So yeah, so I've added in this special effect so that when you hover around these elements around here, you can make it such that you see they're highlighted like this in red. Kind of neat, huh? It really is kind of neat if you look at it in one way. Of course, then also there's the option element. This one right here, I just want to add it in with special measure option, which is disabled. Set the color to dark gray. So yeah, it's nothing to do right now, but it's for extra measure. Okay, cool. We're pretty much done with a lot of it already. Now you may have you may want to ask yourself about why though, like why is this still not matching this up here. Personally, it's just the way it's just a thing that I've kind of cultivated up myself. It's just when you want to make a website that's like potentially going to be used in varying sizes, right? You got to consider the different types of devices that you want your users to be able to use or visit your website in. In this case here, what I've done is I've prepared the interface so that it's ready for mobile devices first. So if you or small or devices with smaller resolutions first. For those with bigger ones, we're going to add in some media queries in here. So as long as let's just put in a media query, media only screen, and as long as the width is at least 768 pixels. Don't ask me why. This is just one of the standard sizes that I've seen around out there. It's just go on with it. You can place in 800 pixels or whatever width that you want going forward with this. The container, going to be width of 75%. So yeah, so as soon as you go under 768 pixels, notice that the form is gonna come close together like this. So yeah, this is how it is right now. But if it goes beyond, it takes up less space. It takes up less space with a larger margin, which appears to have a larger margin. Sorry. From here, just want to reinstate. Make sure that it's a margin of 0 on top and bottom, auto on the left and right. Yeah, nothing much here. Now, time to tackle the row, section, columns, column 50 classes. So row, section, dot column 50. I'm going to set the width to it's the idea is so that you're going to want to put in 50% here, 50% there. But I'm gonna be a hypocrite here and gonna put in 49%, just to let some leeway in here. And yeah, so now you shorten all this to 49%. And let's make it such that you've got row, the column 50, nth of type. We want to set the odd ones, set it to float to the left. And yeah, let's see what happens. So the ones that are on the left, they just float to the left like that. As for the even ones, let's set this even to the right. And there you go. Now it's all set up perfectly, nicely. And there you have it. This is how I've created this form from start to finish. There are some few things which are a little bit different, but generally, this is essentially what I was going for with this form here. I hope this helps, and it's not that impossible to create a web page as good looking as this one. That's over the top, and this doesn't use any CSS frameworks out there. Any visual frameworks out there. You just need a font from a font repository like this, and a bit of know-how here and there, to kind of customize it to however you wish. And of course, this form is not functional though. So, we're gonna want to add in a form submitted.html just to complete the whole thing, the HTML. For this one, there's not much into it here. You can put in the boilerplate. And in here, now for this one, let's just put in the h1 element of form submitted. I'm probably gonna sit behind the scenes and see if I can implement this picture, this page here to match the stylings like it's shown over here, to have some form of uniformity. But anyway, if you were to click on submit right after this, you're supposed to be able to redirect to your form submitted .html page. Whoops, sorry. Form submitted. Yeah, so it's supposed to come in right about in here, and link CSS, CSS/main .css. There we go. Form submitted somewhat. Yeah. Let's put a form in here. Put a hashtag in there. Place in here. Actually, nah, never mind. It's okay. The main focus isn't this form submitted page. It's just yeah, it's just the main thing is just the form itself, which is this one right about here. yeah, that's kind of it. I hope that this has been helpful. And if there are any other questions regarding this particular activity, do let me know. You know where to reach me. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Oscillo, signing out.